Thank you for staying tuned. It's the second trading week in the new year, and the Nigerian stock market saw a rebound at intraday. Well, let's join Temple Ashajuna at the exchange for more updates on today's trading activities. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. Well, we saw the market rebound at intraday, up 0.12%. What's the latest now, and who are the drivers?
Thank you, Chimeze, but the market has changed its direction as we speak. It's down some 0.59%, and we've seen the banking sector as the only sector that is still maintaining gains in the market, up about 0.87%, with the conglomerates now weighing down the market by about 0.34%, and we've seen the losses in Nestle by some 1.34% losses in Nestle, pulling down the market in that regard. Total in the oil and gas segment is also deeping and pulling down the market. Total is down some 1.38% in the market. Unilever, which also announced its closed period of for the financial year 2018 this morning, is down as well at some 7.30%. Even though we know that some analysts are asking for investors to basically just reduce their hold in that firm, and for some asking their clients or investors, to buy more of Unilever at this point in time. The sentiment we've seen in the market on Unilever currently is 7.30. So if you put the losses that we've seen right now in Unilever and Nestle, which is down by 169 basis points together, it translates to the losses that we're seeing on the conglomerate, on the consumer goods segment of the market, which is down 0.34%. However, in terms of trades, we've seen volume on Diamond Bank, which is down 10% on its share price, and gradually tilting close to 2 naira in terms of its share price once again. Last week and the weeks before now, for some 14 consecutive trading sessions, we've seen Diamond Bank really on bid, not an offer at all, except for the last week, Thursday and Friday, when we saw profits taken on the company. And we know again that there's analyst consensus at this point in time for a lot of investors to hold onto their stake in that company, except if you just want to quickly reduce temporarily and then come back inside again. Chimeze.
Now, from what you have observed today, being the first trading day in a new week, what does the week look like? What's the outlook like? Have you spoken to any of the traders? What do they think? How are we likely to see this week turn out?
Nobody is confident about this market right now. Equities at this point in time, there's low confidence on that segment of the market. That's because the risk on equities is really always on the high side compared to some other securities or products that you have in the capital market. And the reason for this is not far-fetched. The general elections on the way. It's happening in a few weeks' time, so that creates a whole lot of uncertainty and deters a lot of foreign investors from coming into the market at this point in time. For companies that really need injection of funds at this point in time, it's difficult for them. It's difficult for companies to get them to key into their companies right now, and that's just because of the general election, because there's no clarity about policy direction of the parties in power or administration that we have in the country. You look at, I give an example of SACO IPO, which was meant to terminate on December the 19th of 2018. We saw an extension for that particular offer till 9th of January 2019. Tells you that in the next 2 days you have the IPO coming to an end. One of the key reasons for that extension is just to give room for investors to come in, because you remember it was floated at a point when you have festivities in Nigeria here, and you know how it is here. A lot of people want to spend for Christmas, you want to spend for the new year, you want to just do a whole lot of events to wrap up the year, so you have to have that extension. And right now, going forward, it's one of the things that a lot of investors here are dotting their I's and crossing their T's for, because the SACO IPO ends in just 2 days' time, and it is something that they are really watching trying to speak to their investors and clients to, key into this. If you need to still buy into the IPO, quickly get that done before you then lose your position. However, we know that it is difficult. January effects on the markets will take its toll on equities. You're going to have a lot of people having to, reduce to be able to pay school fees. Those are the retail investors. And for the corporate investors, you will have them watching the macroeconomic indices, watching what could become of inflation, what could, because of the election spendings that we are seeing on the right, on the high side. And you also want to watch out for what the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee will be saying about the inflationary pressures. Are they going to raise rates? So all of these uncertainties are just there. You also have the external factors in the global scene, talking about the geopolitical risk, the trade tensions and the emerging markets, and the fact that a lot of markets in the advanced economies are looking to rejig their policies at this point in time, especially the monetary policy in favor of their domestic economies, and that is certainly going to have direct impact on other markets. Chimeze.
All right, just before I let you go, Temple, Ecobank Transnational Incorporated has just responded to some social media report alleging overstatement of their balance sheet and income statements emanating from what they called incorrect exchange rates in translating the financial statements of its affiliate entities, especially Nigeria. What's the conversation about this in the market today?
I think the press release that came in the morning really changed the perception of investors about that company today, because as we speak, first of all, we've seen about 8 to 10 deals on that particular security. We've seen some 18,000 units of its shares traded, getting close to some 20,000, and that's valued for around 800 billion naira or thereabouts. And of course, the share price also looks to be changing, moving upward from the 14 naira that it's been trending at for some time now. Now, that's for that. We know that the company, as part of the press statement it issued this morning, talked about the fact that it complies with IFRS 9, which is a major regulation in the banking sector globally. It also talks about complying with the IAS 21 provisions in the Nigerian financial market and, of course, in the global market, because you know that ETI is one company that is that cuts across this continent, Africa here, and the company basically is trying to let investors know that there's no cause for alarm. That Nigeria, yes, we know, is a peculiar market when it comes to foreign exchange rates. Here you have different rates across the board, and it is saying that it complied in details with all of the provisions of IFRS 9 that explains the particular rate that it should have its statements in. So we know that the company is basically telling investors not to be sure that there's no misstatements in its earnings for all the audited financial statements released for 2017, and of course all the quarterly earnings that have been released for the year 2018. This also speaks to what investors should expect about the company in 2019. That's regarding its audited financial statement full year for 2018. Chimeze.
Thank you for those updates, Temple. Well, finally on the program, investment banking group Goldman Sachs has cut its oil price forecast for 2019, citing a re-emerging surplus of oil and resilient U.S. shale production. Global benchmark Brent crude will average $62.50 a barrel this year, down from a previous estimate of $70. West Texas Intermediate is also seen to average $55.50 a barrel, down from a prior forecast of $64.50. With current prices below those levels, the investment bank sees them as undervalued at the moment. And that's it on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.